ready for our first class.
Bluetooth connected.
Are we ready? Sorry. I'm like stopping. Are you going to get that? Yeah. Okay. Hey. Lexi Wright. Ask him how he wants to do way back.
We'll now start with our lightweight Martin Hall. We're looking for Class 1, Adrian Komanowitz and Paige Bash. Oh, you want me to go ahead and introduce the judge? Oh, okay, I can do that. We'd like to welcome to our arena today Mr. Brennan Beeson from Coffin, Illinois. Brennan grew up showing livestock throughout the country through his 4-H, FFA, and NGSA shows. After high school, Brennan was on a highly competitive livestock judging team, first at Lakeland College, then at Western Illinois University, where he graduated in the spring of 2018. While at Lakeland, Brennan served as an at-large director on the junior board for the National Junior Swine Association. He credits his success in the show pig world and beyond with the year that he spent on the floor. After graduation, Brandon moved back home with his now fiancee Ellen, where they are working on building their competitive show pig operation, BD Show Pigs. Brandon now covers Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin as an area sales manager for Livestock Incorporated as he travels the country assisting families succeed in and out of the show ring. Let's give him a warm welcome to West Virginia.
Well, thank you guys. I said last night I was excited to be out here. Excited this morning whenever I got up to start working through the kids again, working through the pigs. I think we got a neat pair here in the first class. I think a fairly logical pair though. Young lady in the red boots to my left here is going to be your class winner, and I think this skeletal quality allows her to do that. You step in behind her, I think that big square from behind, I think she's square at the ground, and then from the side she's taller at the point of her shoulder. That allows her to drive with more comfort and ease off of both ends. Young ladies pair that's going to go second may have the extra advantage in terms of spread right now. I think as those pigs start to get older and start to mature, he's going to get out there as he's stepping in behind him. He's a little off right behind his blade as well. Give those kids a good round of applause. We'll get into your next class.
Winner in this class is Adrian Milanowitz. Second was Paige Bash. In our next class, Class 2, we're looking for Alyssa Friend, Abigail Hoover, Alyssa Friend, on second member.
Real interesting trio here, next class, and a pair of barrows that I think need to be changed in the same area on the top end of the drive, and so I think that between the pair, structure almost becomes a wash. You have to start thinking about extra power and extra muscle and what they're going to come with on down the road. Young lady in the corner of the ring has got the extra power and the extra bulk, and so she's got the class winner for me. Young man here in the middle of the ring's got the other barrow that's just like our class winner in terms of the way he's put together off of either end. I want to square both of those pigs up as they meet the surface off of either end of their skeleton, but still, I think the extra power and the extra bulk's what allows them both to stay on the top end of this drive. Young lady's blue pig that rounds out the class probably is the squarest off of both ends of his skeleton. Unfortunately, he's also the lightest in terms of his dimension. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause to get into the next drive.
In our Class 2 lightweights, the list of friend had first and second, and third went to Abigail Hoover. Now we're going to move to Class 3, Daisy Balk, Avery Adams, Brady Adams, Mila Pollock.
Interesting class that I think breaks down fairly logically. I think we've got a lot of different parts and pieces through here, but still, I think there's one of them that checks the most boxes and does probably the most good, I guess, with the least amount of bad. Young lady in the purple shirt's got our class winner. I think if you study that bear from any area, he's maybe not the most when you get right up on top of him. He's maybe not the most when you study him down at the ground, but still, I think that he's got the most in terms of balance. I think he's got the most in terms of ring presence, and then I think he's the best in terms of the way he's put together off of either end. Young lady with the predominantly white pig is going to go next, and that one has the advantage in terms of spread up high, has the advantage in terms of spread when you step right in behind him. I'd like to swear that pig up as he drives right away from me. I think if we did that, the pig would run away with this class because of the advantages that he does have up high. Young lady behind me here is going to go ahead and go next, and I think the pair of bears that lie on the bottom end of this class are very similar in terms of their type and kind. To me, the young lady in the black has the extra power and the extra dimension when you get right up on top of her. Young man's bear that rounds out the class again. Just need to pull that thing apart to get him to move up any higher, but he's got a big, productive rib cage in him, good, productive kind of a hog. Give those kids a good round of applause as we get into the next drive.
In Class 3, first place went to Daisy Ball, second to Mila Pollock, third to Avery Adams, fourth Brady Adams. We have Class 4, last class in our lightweights, Jimmy Peasley, Adrian Bernowitz. And Nathan Bernowitz, excuse me.
again, I think three hogs that represent different kinds, but I think there's one of them that's relatively easy to find to start. Young man in the blue's got our class winner. And if you take that gilt, I think from her hip forward, she'd run away with it even more, but I'd like to change her in terms of the way she uses her hind leg, in terms of the way she meets the surface behind. And like I said, from her hip forward, she runs away with the class. It's maybe a closer contest as you study them right behind, but man, I really like that gilt. That's a nice one to go ahead and lead off with. From there, you got some trade-offs. I think you got one that's maybe a shot narrower, a little bit flatter, but still is a notch squarer when you step in behind her. And then you've got one that's got the extra power and the extra bulk, but you question where he's at behind. I'll take the extra power and the extra mass. The young man's going to go ahead and go second, and then the young lady's going to round out the class with the blue pig. Again, I like the way that blue pig's put together, basically from her blade back. I like to reassemble the way she's put together up front, and then I like to blow her apart in her rib cage as well. Give those kids a good round of applause. We'll select your champion lightweight.
In Class 4, first place Jimmy Peasley, second Nathan Bonanowitz, third Adrian Bonanowitz. Coming back now for the championship drive, we'll have Adrian Bonanowitz, Alyssa Friend, Daisy Bach, and Jimmy Peasley.
We drop our four class winners back out, and I talked pretty well all the way through the lightweight show that we had some different types and kinds, and I think that as we hop off back out here, again, we got four of them that represent different kinds of hogs, and four of them that I think will have different looks, I guess, as they continue to mature and as they get closer to their end point. Still, again, I think that there's one of them that checks all the boxes out here, and if I could just change her in this one area, I think that she'd, again, run away with it, but still, I think it's pretty logical to go ahead and use the young man there out of the last class. He's going to be your champion lightweight. Give him a round of applause. We drop in that second place, and I think it gets closer between him and another one, the one that came out of our second to last class, and taking nothing away from the other two. I just think that that's the pair of them that bring the things that I want to look for. One of them to me is maybe a notch better built, maybe a notch square when you step in behind him. The other one's got the extra bulk and the extra density when you get right up on top of him, and then whenever you take him down to the ground, he's definitely got the extra substance. So I guess it depends on where your priorities are and where you want to be. For me, I like my lightweight barrows to have a future in them. I like to make sure they can grow. I like to make sure they can continue to drive as they get up to those higher weights. Young lady in the purple shirt is going to be a reserve. Give her a good round of applause. I think you can go a few different ways as you start picking them for third overall. I think there's another bear out here again that's got the extra power and the extra substance. We dropped that young lady's bear out though, and she resembles that one I was just talking when you get right up on top of him, having that extra shape, having that extra spread, and then you step in behind him, and I do think that he's a notch squarer than that other barrel we were just talking about. She's going to be your third overall, and the young man here to my left is going to be fourth overall. Give them both a good round of applause. I apologize. Then for fifth overall, again, we've got a pair of hogs that want to differ in terms of their type and kind. I'll take the extra bulk and the extra power. Young lady in the black shirt's going to be fifth. Give her a good round of applause. We'll get into your next drive.
Okay, in our lightweight division, we ended up with a champion exhibited by Jimmy Peasley, reserve champion Daisy Bott, third, Mila Pollock, fourth, Nathan Bonatowicz, and fifth, Alyssa Friend. We'd like for you to note the posters over here on the bleachers to my left, across from you all in the seating area. This would not have been possible without those individuals helping put together. I'll give you some of those names as we go through the show. In the special thank you category, we had Mountain Digital Hometown TV, Kingwood Volunteer Fire Department, Kingwood Parks and Recreation, West Virginia Department of Agriculture, and several numbers of people that volunteered to make this possible. In the Friends of the Ag Sponsor category, we had Preston County FFA alumni, Comfortable Living Properties, Appalachian Mountain Show Pigs, Norman Wine, Ralph Allman and Sons Paul Herefords, Hardesty and Associates, Insurance Centers, Triple C Angus, Hutter's Creamery, which will be out here selling ice cream, Hidden Holler Farm, Meadowview Farm Supply, and White House Cattle. In our silver sponsorship category, we had Schrock Farm Equipment, Middletown Tractor Sales, Westmar Angus, J.W. Wilhelm Ag Fencing, Southern States Oakland Cooperative, Affordable Landscaping Supplies, Paul's Seal Coating, MJW Farms, Image Studios and Entertainment, EB. We're looking at Class 5, Rena Bishop, Ali Faciletus, Nathan Bernatowicz, and Mila Polly. For any of you needing pictures, our photo person in the ring is Megan Anderson Photography. She's shooting all kinds of shots throughout the shows this weekend. If you would like to get a hold of her to get a copy of a certain individual's picture, you can go to www.meganandersonphotos.com.
Really interesting group to sort, and still I think that there's a logical place to start. The young lady with the predominantly white gilt's got your class winner. You study that gilt coming right at you. She's the boldest in her chest floor. She's the boldest up high. She's the boldest in the center portion of her rib, and she's still the most athletic off of either end of her skeleton. I think that's a good place to start. Young lady in the middle of the ring is going to go second, and that barrow's probably got the advantage in terms of the center body that he has. He's bigger and bolder there in the center portion of his rib. You step in behind him, I think he's a notch plainer in terms of the shape to his hip. He wants to get out there in terms of where he's at on his corners as well, but I still think it's a big productive kind of a rib cage. Slow him down just a little bit, and I think you're going to have a pretty good one at the end. From there, it's challenging. Which direction do you want to go? I think there's one of them that got the advantage in terms of shape. There's one of them that got the advantage in terms of their skeleton. I like the extra high-quality skeleton, and I call the blue pig enough. He's going to go ahead and go third. Then the young lady's belted pig that rounds out the class. Again, you love the extra shape. You love the extra dimension that barrow possesses. I got to reassemble him off of either end of his skeleton. Give those kids a good applause as we get into the next drive.
Class 5 results: Brina Fisher, first. Second, Milo Pollock. Third, Nathan Monatowicz. Fourth, Ali Fasiletas.
Hog members, PCLA hog members, just a note that sign-outs will be in the parking lot by the tent C. Sunette Pomeroy.
After the show, right?
Just a pair of them here in this class, but I think a pair of them that are actually, although they may start to look different the longer you study them, I think that they're very similar in their type and kind. They're similar in terms of the way they're put together. They're similar in terms of their look from the side. I think where the actual difference is when you get down to the feature of them. I think one of them's a notch stouter in their skull. I think one of them's a notch stouter and bigger in terms of their tail root, and so they set down on a bigger set of feet and legs, and they've got that extra big skeleton to lay the extra bulk and the extra mass on. Young lady in the blue shirt's got your class winner. Young lady that goes second in the class, again, very similar to the barrel that wins, just doesn't have the extra feature. Sets down on a smaller foot, a notch fragiler in terms of his jaw, but still good kind of a barrel to go second. Give those kids a good round of applause.
In Class 6, first place went to Kinley Dahl. Second place, Avery Pollock. We now go to Class 7, Dixie Balk, Blake Dean, Clint Hall.
PCLA members, those that are leaving, whenever you sign out, make sure that you see Sunette Pomeroy to get your credit, and it's going to be out by the tent. in the parking lot. Also, all exhibitors, whenever you're leaving, make sure that you clean the pens properly and you dump your shavings in the designated area. If you're unsure of exactly what to do, make sure that you see Nick Volk or someone out there that can help you. Thank you.
Relatively logical class here. A pair of them on the top end that I think need to be changed in the same area. And so again, I think that you can let structure become a wash. And then when you do, the pig right here in front of me runs away with it. He's easily the biggest and the boldest when you get right up on top of him. And then if you could change the way he uses that left rear, I think that he'd be the most athletic without question within the drive. I'll be honest, young man, whenever you do come back with him, you could probably rinse the scribbles off of him. I think it'd look just a little bit better with just some water on him. And that's a really good kind of a dense kind of a barrel to go ahead and use to win this drive. Young Menza goes second, again, very similar to the one that wins the drive in terms of the shape that she possesses, in terms of the mass that she has right up on the top side of her skeleton. Another one I'd like to change in terms of the way she uses her rear leg, and then to me where she gets beat here especially is when you start to study the center portion of her body. You study her in terms of her heart and her forerib. She's the driest of the pair on top. Young ladies, blue pig that rounds out the class again. This one's productive in terms of the shape that he has. The center portion of his body just gets a notch narrower off of either end. Give those kids a good round of applause. We'll get into the next class.
In Class 7, our results are first, Blake Dean, second, Clint Oval, third, Dixie Ball. Now move to Class 8, Kenley Dahl, Maddie Engel, Colton Tasker, Christopher Hardesty.
This class would be a really fun one in a judging contest setting for a group of 4-H or FFA members to go through and talk in the reasons room. Not only is there a lot of differences in their color, but there's a lot of differences in type and kind, a lot of different ways that you can go. I think after you find your class winner, I think there's a trio of them that can be kind of mixed up and jumbled in a bunch of different ways, and you can probably justify doing that, but still, I think there's a logical place to start right here in the young ladies pair in the middle of the class. He's going to be your class winner. Another one that probably reassemble in terms of the way he uses that hind leg, but man, excuse me, you take him from there forward, he's fresh in terms of the shape he's got up high, he's fresh in terms of the shape he's got to his rib cage, he's without a doubt the boldest whenever you get on top of him as well. Again, I think that there's some challenges with the remaining trio of pigs, and depending on where your priorities lie, you could go a few different directions. For me, the next totals pig within the drive, the one, again, that does the most amount of good without, the most flaws in her, is the young man's belted gilt on the far side of the ring. I think you study that one from the side. She puts herself together the best in terms of her lines. She's the squarest whenever you step right in behind her, and then she's the boldest and the most pliable in the center portion of her rib as well. the predominantly white barrows that round out the drive, I think they're similar, or the predominantly white pigs that round out the drive, I think they're similar in the areas that I'd like to change them, and so then there's one of them that's overwhelming in terms of the extra bulk and the extra feature that he has. Young lady in the middle of the ring is going to go ahead and go third, and then the young man's gilt that rounds out the drive again. Need to change the way that one uses her hind leg, but still like the extra shape and dimension she's got up high, like the extra shape she has when she leaves you as well. Give those kids a good round of applause. We'll get into your next drive.
Our Class 8 results: first place, Maddie Engel; second, Colton Tasker; third, Kinley Dahl; fourth, Christopher Harts. Coming back now for your champions, you should have Brina Leasoff, Kinley Dahl, Blake Dean, and Maddie Engel.
High quality pair on the top end. High quality pair on the top end of this drive, and I think a pair of them that if you just put them in a pen, they definitely win a pin show at the county fair. You put them in a pen, you'd be excited about them. You study them right on top of them, and they look extremely similar. You step out and get them out in the ring where you can back off of them. I think there's one that's got the extra feature, has the extra substance, and then while I'd like to change him in one area, I don't think the other has the advantage there. So in my opinion, he runs away with this drive. Young man in the middle's got your champion. Give him a round of applause. We dropped that second place out, and I talked that one in class as being big in terms of her shape, and you like the extra dimension that she has right up on top of her. She gets a notch drier in terms of her forerib, and I think there's one out here that has the overwhelming advantage, not only over that one, but over the rest of them in terms of the heart and forerib this one possesses. That sets the stage for the extra bulk and mass he has up high. Young lady in front of me is going to be a reserve. We drop that second place down. I think she falls right into the mix. We've talked about her as being so right in terms of her skeletal angles. I think that she's the squarest pig out here within the drop. Still, I think there's one that's got extra shape, extra dimension, and an overwhelming advantage in that area. Young man that was second in our heaviest class is going to be her third overall. Then our second place out of that, just compare that. The second place we just dropped out, young man in the American flag shirt, is going to be your fourth overall. Again, like the way that hog's put together, I think her better days are certainly ahead of her. And then the young lady in the middle of the ring with your belted pig is going to be fifth. Give those kids a good round of applause as they make their way back.
In our medium weight, your champion was exhibited by Blake Dean. The reserve champion by Maddie Engel. Third, Clint All. Fourth, Brenna Bishop. Fifth, Kinley Dahl. We now move into heavyweight. Audrina Kelly, Christopher Engel, Garrett Nelson, Max Hardison.
I think a really fun class to break down. And again, if you were to put this in a judging contest setting, I think it'd be a fun one to talk in the room because I think it splits up into two pairs. And I think within those two pairs, you could probably flip-flop them and go them either way. And you'd probably be right, just depending on how you justified it. I think that there's a pair of them, again, that have the extra bulk and have the extra spread. And then, to me, within that pair, there's one of them that's just a notch square when you take her down to the ground. She's a bit higher there, or pulled up off of her dew claws up front. And so I think that's what allows her to balance better from the side. I'll be the first to admit I'd like to put a longer neck on her, like to bring it higher out of the top side of her shoulder. And I think that's an awfully good kind of a gilt to win our class the young lady has here to my right. Young man in the middle of the ring that the gilt that's driving, again, probably has the advantage in terms of that look up front, has the advantage in terms of that extension that she has. She might set down on a bigger set of feet and legs as well. I'd like to change her as you take her to the surface off of either end of her skeleton. She wants to get a notch further down on her dew claws up front, and then as she leaves you, she puts more of her weight on her outside hoof wall, and consequently her hock is beginning to leave her framework. Still a really high quality kind of a gilt to go second here within the class. Excuse me. Young man's barrel that's driving right at me is going to go next. And I think that's just a good, productive kind of a market hog. Again, you get down here into a bottom pair of barrows that I think differ in terms of their type and kind, but still, I like the productive look that one has. He's got spread up high, and still, I think he's right in terms of the way he's put together off of either end. Young man's gilt that rounds out the class has the advantage in terms of shape up high, and so I'd expect her to go to the rail with the advantage in cutability. Unfortunately, she's the tightest and the driest in terms of her foreroot. She's the tightest off of either end of her skeleton as well. Give those kids a good round of applause. We'll get into your next drive.
On class number 9, Audrina Kelly first, second, Christopher Engel, third, Max Hardesty, fourth, Garrett Nelson. Class 10, coming into the ring here will be Christopher Engel, Wade Goldstein, Chris Blosser, Cole Blosser.
Another group with a lot of differences, a lot of differing typing kinds, but still I think there's one of them that brings it all together. A young man in the middle of the ring's got your class winner, and again, I think this one kind of runs away with it. You study him from the side, without a doubt that's the best balanced sparrow. He's the tallest up front, he's the biggest in terms of his rib cage, he's the biggest in terms of his back, and while he might be out there behind, I still call him comfortable enough, and I think that's a really good one to to go ahead and win. From there, I think it's challenging. Again, depending on where your priorities lie, I think you could go a few different directions. You've heard me talk about them being productive. You heard me talk about them being big in terms of the center portion of their body. I'm going to stick with that. I think there's one that's bigger in terms of his center. I think he's bigger whenever you get right up on top of him. Young man here to my left is going to go ahead and go second. Again, we've got a pair of them that are a notch drier in terms of their body shape, a notch drier in terms of their forerib, and so I go up top and I start to study them in terms of the extra spread, the extra width that they have. Young man that's the closest to me has got the extra dimension, and then I think she's more comfortable up front than the gilt that rounds out the drive as well. If you just study the gilt that rounds out the drive from the side, I think there's some things that you need to like about her. She's tall up front, she's square behind, and I think that she's got a big dense hind leg and a big old tail root sitting up on top of her. If we could just blow apart her center body, we put some more mass on her, we could certainly get her to move up. Give those kids a good round of applause to get into your next drive.
In our heavyweight class 10, Christopher Engel, Wade Goldeisen second, third, Cole Blosser, fourth, Chris Blosser. We now have class 11, Maddie Engel, Colin Carey, Samuel Goldeisen.
Here again, I think we have a pair of barrows that kind of lie on opposite ends of the spectrum, and then I think we have one of them that kind of sits right in the middle. Young lady in the middle of the ring is going to be your class winner. Again, I think that one's the most balanced. I think he's the biggest in terms of his back. I think he's the biggest in terms of his middle. Is he the biggest when you take him down to the ground? No, but I think that his feature matches what he has up high, and so I call him a high-quality balance, kind of a class winner. Depending on where your priorities lie, again, you could go a couple of different directions. One of them's got the extra feature, one of them's got the extra shape up high. I'd like to change the way he goes behind. And then one of them's bigger in terms of his center body. He's bigger in terms of his back up high, and I think he's much squarer behind. Young man on the far side of the ring's got him. He's going to be second. Again, the young man that rounds out the class with the blue pig has the advantage in terms of feature. That's the EST hog within the drive if you're talking about the biggest hind leg or the biggest foot. He's also the driest in terms of his forerib. He's the most out there as he relieves you. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause as we get into your next drive.
In class number 11, first, Maddie Engel, second, Colin Kelly, third, Samuel Goldeisen. Class 12, coming into the ring, Blake Dean, Audrina Kelly.
If you are in the top 5 of your division, please remember that you need to stay on deck because you may need to come back into the ring.
Just a pair of them out here, but I think probably the closest class that we've had today, and I think the most challenging pair to sort. Again, I think because there's some things in each of them that I like, there's some things in each of them that I'd like to change. And so I just keep going back to which one checks all the boxes. And I don't want to make it sound like I don't like either of these pigs. I think it's challenging because I like both of them. I like a lot of things about each of them. And so it's hard for me to make sure that, I pick the one that, again, checks the most boxes, that does the most amount of good with the least amount of bad. I think there's one of them that's got the extra feature, that's got the extra substance. You get right up on top of her, I think she's got the extra shape as well. I don't know if she's got a huge rib cage, but I call it big enough here within the Market Hog Drive. Young man within win this class. Excuse me. Young lady's gilt that goes second. Again, I think that one's got the advantage in terms of the fresh shape that she has to the center portion of her body. She's got the advantage in terms of that big old productive rib cage that she has. And then I actually like the look that she has from her blade forward just a bit better than the gilt that we use to win the class, where I change hers when I take her down to the ground. She's a notch smaller in terms of the size of her foot. She's a notch smaller in terms of the size of her ankle from there up. And then I'd like to change her and square her up as she drives right at me. But still, I think an awfully high quality pair of pigs to go ahead and round out our drive. Give those kids a good round of applause.
On class number 12, first place, Blake Dean. Second place, Audrina Kelly. We have one in class 13, Kaylee Hennigan.
Just one here in our last class, but still I think one that's going to withstand some heat. Again, big and productive in terms of her center body. Maybe we could use a shot more shape when you get right up on top of her. We'll see how she fits in with the rest of the class. First, give the young lady a good round of applause.
In class 13, Kaylee received first place. We'll now bring back in Audrina Kelly, Christopher Engel, Maddie Engel, and Blake Dean. This will be for your drive for your heavyweight champion.
Mila Polak, you are needed in the makeup area. Couple of reminders about cleaning out the pens, dumping the shavings in the designated area. After the hog show, we are going to have a 45-minute intermission before beginning the steer show. Just some reminders. Thank you.
Without a doubt, the deepest drive of the show so far, and I expected that because I think that we had a lot of quality through the classes, and even though we did have a lot of different types and kinds, I was still able to land on more my kind of pigs. They're maybe a bit shorter bodied, they're big in terms of their rib cage, they're square off of both ends of their skeleton, and they're big and they're massive whenever you get right up on top of them. I think that there's one of them that's out here that has an advantage in terms of feature. I think there's one of them that's out here that has an advantage in terms of look up front. I was the first to say it whenever she was in class that I'd like to bowl her apart in terms of her rib cage. Again, within a market hog drive, especially here in the heavyweights, I say she's got enough. Young man with the Laro belted pig's going to be your champion. Give him a round. We dropped that second place out, and I think she falls right into the mix. And to tell you the truth, she might fit in a little bit better with the rest of the hogs that are out here. I think that she is a notch shorter bodied than what that gilt was that won, and I think that's what allows her to be so big and productive in the center portion of her rib. I talked about her as being one I'd like to change at the ground, but man, you drop her back out here in relation to her contemporaries, I think without a doubt she's one of the squarest ones out here. And then I like the center portion of her body. I like the big shape up high. She's going to be a reserve. Again, I think there's one of them that pushed that gilt pretty close, or reserve pretty close. I think she's very similar to that hog, I think he's very similar to that hog. I'd like to change him in one area. I'd like to change the way he meets the surface up front, bring him up off of his dew claws, and then I think he'd hold himself together better from the side as well. Young man here in front of me is going to be your third overall. We drop that second place in, and again, big in terms of the center portion of his body. He's big when you get right up on top of him. I like to change him off of either end of his skeleton. I think there's another one that's out here that does some good things, that's big and fresh up high, and I think he's fresher from his blade forward. Young lady with the blue pig's going to be next. And then we'll round out the drive with the young man that just come out of the second. He'll be your fifth overall. Give those kids a good round of applause.
Okay, for our heavyweights, your champion was Blake Dean, your reserve champion was Colin Kelly, third was Christopher Engel, fourth was Matty Engel, and fifth was Lee Goldsey. Okay, we need to make a correction on the reserve champion. Another individual was shown the hog floor. The animal actually belongs to Audrina Kelly. She was your reserve champion. Returning now to the ring for your overall champion will be Jimmy Peasley. Blake Dean with 2 entries.
Take your time and put your hands together for all of our market hog exhibitors who've been through the ring today and showmanship yesterday. Kids have been working hard with their projects. It's been hot and it's starting to get rainy and things are here towards the end of the summer. I know we're getting closer to when y'all get your county fairs in and you're going to have your state fairs coming up here towards the end of the summer. It gets hard there. It gets hard to stay out there and stay with them. You can get to a point where you start to become comfortable. You can become comfortable with where you've been and what you've been doing. You know, we all start the season and we all go out and buy pigs. We all go out and buy our projects thinking that we want to win. We all start out thinking that we want to win. It can be similar to a race. You know, we all start the race thinking that we're going to finish in the victory lane. But not everyone does. Not everyone gets to do that. And somewhere along the way, about halfway through the race, folks will start to get comfortable with where they're at, and they'll settle for 5th. They'll settle for 10th place because, well, you know, we gave it our best shot. Well, in my opinion, comfort is the biggest enemy of success. And so once you start to become comfortable with where you're at, you're going to watch everyone else around you start to beat you because all you're doing is sitting around and you're saying, well, what I've done is enough. Well, almost all the time, almost every time, what you've done isn't enough. And you don't need to worry about beating the other kids around you. You don't need to be worried about beating the other people around you. You need to look in the mirror and worry about beating yourself. You need to be better than you were yesterday. We talk about all the time at work. Excuse me. We talk about all the time at work, trying to be 1% better than what you were the day before. And at the end of the year, then you're 365% better than what you were at the beginning of the year. It can be the same thing in the show pig barn. And whatever you do in life, whether you're going to church or whatever it is, make sure that you're putting your most effort to it. You're putting everything that you can into it, and then you'll definitely be successful. You'll be able to reap the benefits that come with it. With that being said, again, let's give a big round of applause to the folks that put on this show here. Again, you can talk about them. I'm sure that they weren't comfortable here the last couple of weeks. I'm sure they haven't been comfortable the last couple of months. But look at this. It's a big success. And so, again, they should be commended. My hat's off to them. We had a great show. I'll go out and I'm going to put the mic down and I'll select your top 5. Again, give these kids one big round of applause as I do it.
On behalf of the Preston County Livestock Association and the Appalachian Youth Livestock Showcase Committee, we'd like to give our judge today a round of applause for all of his hard work in selecting these animals. Reminder that we are having Mountain State Barbecue directly across from the barns along the road and the chicken pit area. They are serving all kinds of good food. Get your bellies full up there. We also have Utter's ice cream out here. Mountain State Barbecue will begin serving at 11. For Mountain State Barbecue, it is cash only. There is an ATM in the lobby of the Civic Center. Since this is the hog show, we find it only appropriate to thank Nick Volk and his worker bees, all the volunteers that have helped put this together. We could not do this without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
In our final overall drive, your overall grand champion come out of your heavyweight, Blake Dean. Your overall reserve champion, Audrina Kelly. Your third was Blake Dean again, out of the medium weight. Your fourth was Christopher Engel, and your fifth was Maddie Engel. We'd like to thank everyone for participating and the exhibitors for doing an excellent job, and our judge for attending today.
Picture opportunity over here with the backdrop. We are on a 45-minute intermission. The steer classes will be posted shortly. We are planning to begin at 11 o'clock. PCLA members, do not forget to get this cement and sign out.
The Preston County Livestock Association is excited to welcome you to Kingwood, West Virginia, a historic town nestled in the Mountain State in the heart of Preston County. Uniquely situated, Preston County directly borders Pennsylvania, Maryland, and is a stone's throw from Ohio and Virginia. Our West Virginia county borders include Tucker, Monongalia, Taylor, and Barber counties. Appalachian Youth Livestock Showcase was established to give not only our local youth, but youth throughout the Appalachian region and beyond an opportunity to show their livestock. We are pleased to announce that our show arena will be indoors in the Craig Civic Center, which is a 11,000 square foot climate controlled facility located directly beside our fairgrounds and Kingwood Parks and Recreation public swimming pool. We have been working hard to provide a one-of-a-kind opportunity that you won't want to miss. A special thank you to all of our sponsors, volunteers, Kingwood Volunteer Fire Department, and Kingwood Parks and Recreation. Stay tuned for additional exciting updates and get registered today on the Showman app. We look forward to seeing you July 15th through the 17th for our first annual Appalachian Youth Livestock Showcase Jackpot Show.